My name's Dan Gordon. If anybody's ever seen The Simpsons, I'm the arts and business equivalent of Troy McClure. Some of you have seen The Simpsons, the rest you need to Google. Great to be here. Thank you for coming. This is a unique event. Arts and Business and I we've now gone independent. As you know probably, and if you don't, you do now. There's a new board has been formed. We're delighted to say we've got complete autonomy. And anything that we raise and do here will stay here, and I think that's a very important thing. We can also focus on our own situation here as well. Now, we have a couple of things that we'd like to draw your attention to here this morning. We're going to talk through a few of these programs that we've been involved with. What we do, I mean, I'm involved with theatre, and basically we've got profile, and I think the profile that we have, and also within music, within sculpture, within the artistic community, visual arts, music, whatever, we can bring that profile to you, and you are the biggest sector, the SMEs. You're probably the most important people to us. It's not just about the check, it's about engagement, it's about what we can do for you. And we in the creative industries have suddenly sat up and realised that the public funding is also not there, or is starting to dry up, and we have to find more and more innovative ways to create partnerships, get help in kind. There's a lot of skills that you have that you can give to us, and things that we can give to you as well as just profile. The first gentleman I'm going to bring up to you is Paul McNeill, who I feel is actually very like a lot of you guys, the SMEs, who have a great idea, take it from the start and really take it somewhere and deliver it. So Paul McNeill from Cahoots and I just want to talk about his work with Skea eggs.
Hey, good morning, thank you very much. As Dan said, I'm Paul Bosco McNeill, as my full title. Not named after that RTE public with ginger hair. It's my real name, I promise. I'm the artistic director of Cahoots and I Children's Theatre Company. We're based here in Belfast. And it's quite timely this month we celebrate our 10th anniversary. And some 10 years ago we were just reflecting at a recent board meeting in terms of children's theatre in Northern Ireland. I'll give you just a simple example. When we first started, when we did our first tour, we were going around regional venues, and we were told that in terms of programming children's work, it didn't happen in their main space outside the festive season, i.e. Christmas. And if you look at where we are now in terms of our theatrical sector, we have moved so far. We concentrate on the visual potential of theatre for children, and my own background is in magic and illusion. So if you will just bear with me, I have a little test just to see if absolutely everybody is with me, just at the start. It's important you're with me at the start because you may not be there at the end. If I could just ask everybody to just give their right arm just a little bit of a shake. That's great, we're all there, just you can stop their left arm. That's brilliant. Okay, just place your right arm out so the thumbs are facing towards the sky. Your left arm out so thumbs are facing towards the sky. Brilliant. Everybody's with me, thank you, sir. Great. Okay, right hand, take the thumb, place it down like that. Left hand, thumbs down like that. Okay, this is the complicated bit. The right hand's going over the top of the left hand so that all the thumbs are down like that. Yeah, so now pull them together. Yep, close your hands. Okay, so this is how we have been quite successful in sponsorship. You go into the boardroom and you say, now, if you can take your thumbs and move them from there to there, I'll give you money. But if you can't, you've got to give me money. So have a go. I jest. If only it were that easy. I've been asked to talk a little bit about our new relationship with our new sponsor, Skea Eggs. We're very fortunate that over the past number of years, and this is because as a company we decided it was time to diversify in terms of our funding strands. We used to rely heavily on trusts and foundations. We obviously still receive our core grant from the Arts Council, but some time back, strategically we decided that we had to look more, I guess, in line with the American model. We had to look at sponsorship. And sponsorship, not just to put a company's logo on our flyer and our poster and our program, but actually as a business and treating ourselves as a real business, how can we incentivize that? What can we do for a business? Now the reality is with my company, what we do best is we entertain. That's what we do. What do some businesses need? Well, they need the need to be entertained. Not the business, but they have functions, they have events that happen. So there's one area that we really early on identified as being key to opening the door to sponsorship. Skea Eggs is another example of a different way in which we have incorporated sponsorship into our yearly program. I should also point out that in terms of finance, our income, the income that we generate via sponsorship is now 20%. Some 5 years ago that would have been about 3%. So, I mean, that's where we're at, and looking at it and knowing the plans that we have in the future and the people that we're talking to, I know that that figure is going to grow quite significantly in the next 3-4 years. So in terms of Skea Eggs, we had this fantastic product. We knew it was a fantastic product. It hadn't been created. And I think the terminology is important. I mean, I speak about my shows as product, in the same way as business speak about their product as product. So we have an audience. We have to find that audience. They've got to come and see the show. Many businesses have a product. They need someone to buy it. It's the same thing. Our business in the arts is very, very similar to product business. So we had this product called Egg. We knew that it was going to be a fantastic show. We knew that it was going into the Lyric. We knew that it was going to do a substantial tour around Ireland. But we needed a backer. We need someone to come in and finance an element of it. And it's quite obvious now, but the show's called Egg. We approached an egg company. And that was Skea Eggs, just out in County Tyrone. So when we approached Skea Eggs with the idea, we had found out that they were planning to release a new product. That product was called the Good Egg. So we went to them with an idea, suggesting that we could help with the launch of that product. It turned out that one of the main aims that Steve had, this is Steve Hayes, the marketing manager, one of the main aims that he had was to ensure that the product was recognisable. Skea Eggs, the product goes into lots of supermarkets, but no one actually knows the name. So they had this idea that they wanted people now to know of Skea Eggs. They were a wholesale company. And the first thing that he spoke to us about was he wanted to do some trade shows. And we thought, okay, well, let us have a think about that and we'll come back to you. So we came up with this idea to present at a trade show stand. An idea that would make people stop at the Skea Egg stand, take notice, enjoy what they saw, remember the product, and move on. And that really worked. We came up with this mad zany thing called Bish Bash Bosh, which is extraordinary really, because it's like Russian roulette, only you're playing it with eggs. But what I can tell you is that at the trade show, everybody was standing around Skea Eggs. Everybody was wanting to see what was going on. We had actors, we had musicians, and most importantly, back to what I said at the start, we were entertaining. We were doing what we do best. But actually, he could see the marriage in that. He could see that his target audience, his buyers, were all standing around his stall because he was doing something different. And not only was he doing something different there, he was doing something different with his business. He was starting to invest in the arts. And that's what was essential. Obviously, we progressed. He loved the idea. And we then decided we would take it into supermarkets. At this point, you know, we've got to remember that we're a theatre company and that we need to be doing something for ourselves as well. So we made sure that the supermarket tour of Bish Bash Bosh would coincide with our run at the Lyric Theatre. So we went into supermarkets for 2 weeks before we went into the Lyric Theatre. We were able to let everybody know about Skea Eggs because the product was there. We were playing games with members of the public. He was getting brand awareness. But most importantly for us, we were selling tickets for our show. And for me, that shows a real, I guess a real level of joined up thinking and how we can approach a sponsor, a potential sponsor, show them the benefits that we can bring to their product, but at the same time, actually get our own benefits as well, in terms of selling tickets, raising our profile, making sure that families know that we exist. So I've been asked just to share that experience with you, and I hope that that's been useful. We have a similar project, not Bish Bash Bosh, but we realised with the Northern Bank, they're thinking about bringing education, particularly about monetary and numerical. Maths was very important to them, and we had a project called Mathemagic, And that's been an extremely successful partnership with Northern Bank. So I hope that's let you at least get inside what it is we do. Anybody, any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
I think, and there are a lot of other people in the community, in the creative community, like Paul, who have these brilliant ideas and who have that ability to take businesses forward. It's about that symbiotic relationship. I'd like to talk about another one now. Well, Mckenzie Sharma, director of McNeill Thriftway Travel, is going to talk about Artsekta's annual Belfast Mela in relation to the marketing, market penetration, brand positioning and staff development, whether he knows it or not. Thank you.
McNeill and Thriftway Travel came together as one from two different agencies back in 2009. And it was from McNeill Worldwide and Thriftway Travel, and we sat for many days trying to think of the name, and we came up with McNeill and Thriftway Worldwide Travel. So that happened in late 2009, and in 2010 we were looking for some way of making the market aware. Both companies were very strong. One was established in 1975, one in 1982. So we wanted to let people know that this company is now one. It's stronger, it's bigger, it's better. And we were looking for ideas. One of those ideas was to take on sponsorship of events around the country, and we chose the Belfast Mela for 2 or 3 reasons. First of all, it's in South Belfast. Our offices are in Lisburn. Secondly, the audiences there are big, up to 20,000 people in one single day. Thirdly, it gives us as a company and our staff who got involved in that event the opportunity to engage with people directly, to try and get some feedback from them about their needs and whatever else they had in relation to their travel. But more importantly, to give our staff awareness of other culture, because the Mela is a massive event for portraying cultures from different parts of the world. And my take on that was that when somebody nowadays books a holiday with a travel agent, which is getting rarer, on a website when you're booking a flight or a holiday, you're booking, it's a cold experience. You book it, stick your credit card in, and get the product at the end of the day. If you're booking an involved holiday, when I'm talking about an involved holiday, it's more about transfers, it's a longer one, it's more expensive. Those people want to engage with somebody who knows a bit about the country that they're wanting to visit, the airlines that they want to fly. We have our own company offers our staff trips abroad to go and experience different parts of the world. And that's always nice, but 9 times out of 10 they're taken by the local tourist board, and they're excluded from the reality of lives in those countries. What the Mela did was bring in our staff. We put them into workshops in different communities, giving them an insight into Chinese culture, Indian culture, Caribbean, meeting people from those areas in the world, so that they actually had a bit more of knowledge, rather than just saying in Jumeirah Beach is the best. They could actually say, you know what, whenever you're there, this is what happens on a Friday. They have prayer days, so some of the shops are closed. These sort of things that are specific to different parts of the world. It's a different take on what our staff, the knowledge that they have, rather than just a straightforward cold experience of booking a holiday. On top of that, our company itself is massive in terms of flights. We are distributors for a lot of different airlines around Northern Ireland. We actually wholesale those flights to other travel agents. We do have a retail office. We have a lot of exclusive fares, which we call VFR fares, which are given to us by airlines. VFR standing for visiting friends and relatives. And those are for places like India, China, Latin America, for nationals of those countries who are here wanting to go back home. They're also obviously available to anybody. What we wanted to do was to penetrate those markets as those individuals from those parts of the world are growing in Northern Ireland. So we did that by going out and trying to recruit people from those areas who spoke the language, who could actually go into their own communities and say, McNeill and Thriftway have got fares if you want to travel to Beijing or Mumbai or Bangalore, wherever it happens to be. last year we successfully recruited one guy from the Mela. This year's Mela, we did the same exercise. We were a lot more focused this year after experiencing what was available in terms of potential. We recruited a second. Those people now are generating approximately £1 million of revenue a year for our company as a result of that. So it's not really direct benefits from sponsorship or just putting up a banner, or as you quite rightly said, the traditional idea of sponsorship is stick your logo on the end of a catalogue or on the side of a field. It's more than that, and that's where we have really benefited for those particular markets. Another thing we did, we looked to see who else was sponsoring the event and built partnerships with them. The Indian Tourist Board were one of the sponsors. We put one of our staff members on their stand with their agreement, put together a package out to India, and we're able to promote that at the event as well. BMI were sponsoring it. They launched a new flight to Amritsar in India on the 13th of October, 3 times a week out of Heathrow. That is a big market for us, so we also went in partnership with BMI at the same event, which generated more of income from our point of view. We had a lot of successful bookings as a result of that as well. So there's tangible benefits and also what I call the fluffy benefits of sponsorship, and they've all come through from our commitment to that event. And that's my story. Thank you.
There's a lot to be said for fluffy benefits. Now, I'd like to introduce Bob McCoubry, who's my new best friend. He is the founder and director of Mourne Seafood Bar. Some of us knew that, he became it. And Bob's going to talk about their engagement in a very innovative product that really delivers with Kibosh Theatre Company about the Belfast Bread Tour.
Good morning, thanks very much. Mourne Seafood Bar started 5-6 years ago. At the time I was an oyster farmer, growing oysters in Carneyford Loch and shipping them out by the ton to France. So I got quite fed up when I went to Paris and I was charged about 20 times the amount for my own oysters I'd sent off to Paris. So at the time we lived in a lovely big Georgian house in Dundrum, and I persuaded my wife to let me start a small shellfish bar just for the summer in the downstairs that we weren't using. And I assured her it'd be closed by the winter time, done dusted. So we did it, we did all the work, got it open, and you know, it was a shellfish bar, seafood bar. It wasn't a restaurant, but you know, after the first 100 people phoned to book the restaurant, we just said, what the hell, we'll go with it. So it became a restaurant, and we went from 1 chef, 2 chefs, very quickly up to 5 chefs. And then because it's such a seasonal place, it comes to winter time, and chefs, you just can't release them back into the wild. So we thought, right, we need somewhere where we have 52-week business. So 5 years ago, we opened the Mourne Seafood Bar in Bank Square. Not the most salubrious part of Belfast, but again, it was the time of the property carry on. So it was all we could afford. So we went in, we renovated ourselves. You know, we hadn't much money. Got it all done, got it open, and touch wood, from day one it's been phenomenally busy. This year we extended it out into Castle Street. We opened the Oyster Bar, and we also opened a cookery school, which has been very, very successful. And a couple of months ago, because we thought we weren't busy enough, we opened a pop-up restaurant, a home pop-up in Calendar Street. So now well, last night we had 70 employees, but no in the catering trade this morning, probably only about 69. We're there anyway. So when I got the invitation to come along on Art and Business, I kind of had to read it twice, because you know, we operate in a tough business and everything has to pay for itself. Every staff hour has, you know, there has to be a reason why that person's in the restaurant working that hour. So, you know, everything has to run really, really well. You know, the government comes along, they take 20% of everything goes through our till today. So it is tough. So I thought, you know, arts and business, that's something you think about, like banks and large solicitors firms, they can afford that, but we can't. So I sat down and had another think about it, and what I realised is we do engage a lot with the arts, but it's solutions to problems. When we opened the restaurant in Dundrum, we got it all done, we had no money left, and we had blank walls, and we thought, God, we can't afford to go out and buy any art. So we contacted a few of the local artists, and they were delighted to come in and put art on the wall. it worked really well because it, gave the restaurant a feel. They got sales out of it. We took a small bit of commission, opening was here from them on revenue. We took a small bit of commission. It worked really well for both parties, and we did the same in Belfast. And it's always amazing when somebody has an £80 meal, but on a whim they decide to buy a plate and it's £1,200 in the restaurant. Maybe we're not charging enough. So that really worked really well. Then when we did the extension to the oyster bar, and we kind of did it ourselves, and we hadn't spent much money on it, and we kind of felt guilty, so we thought, well, we better get someone in here to make it look a bit classier. So we contacted a friend of mine, Eleanor Wheeler, to do a piece for the bar. It's called commissioning. So we got a lovely piece for the bar done. And that worked really well. And then we have an entrance out on the Castle Street. Now Castle Street's quite a cluttered street, so there's no point putting a sign there. So how do you make people find this small secret entrance? So Eleanor's doing a piece for us, she's doing a sculpture, so hopefully in time it'll be known as the Fish or whatever, and someone in the middle of Castle Street go down and see the fish, and that's where the oyster bar is. And we went in the pop-up restaurant, again, we had the kitchen equipment, but we didn't have tables and chairs. It's only open for 3 months. So we were contacted by a group of artists, Rewired, who refurbish furniture. So they have generously put their pieces in there. So you sit on the chair, if you like the chair, you can buy the chair during the meal and take it away with it. So that solved the problem for us. We weren't going to spend money on furniture. But probably the biggest project we've worked on is the Belfast Bread Tour. And for us it was important because, if I had a pound for every person in Ireland says, well, I don't eat fish, we have so many different types of fish, and when you ask these people, the last bit of fish they had was a boil in the bag, and they were told to eat it Friday because they were going to slap in the air if they didn't eat it. So we have a message to get across to people. There's so many different types of seafood in Ireland. It's fantastically good for you, and there's so many tastes and textures. So for us, it's important to talk to people and give them that message. And also, again, come back to our location in Bank Square. It's not the most salubrious, but thanks to Belfast Bread, we were bringing, I think it was 350 people around this summer. Tourists and a lot of local people who come into the restaurant and have never been around there before. We never probably think of going that part of Belfast and discovered our restaurant. And the way it worked, and I don't want to say Paul is thunder, but I'd say it was the chef Barney who was, frozen, and he was on the Titanic, and basically his trip around Belfast was visiting food establishments to pick up the provisions for the Titanic. And it sounds corny, but it was so well done with the two actors that it really, really worked really well. But it was priceless. Some of because Barney would have the chef's cap, the whites, the frozen beard, and on a Friday morning you see some of the street drinkers in Bank Square kind of doing a double take. Who is this guy? But for us it was great people with the customers, to have a conversation outside of a normal restaurant conversation. You'd say, how's your meal, blah, 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 and it says either it's rubbish or it's great or thank you very much. So we're able to chat to people and tell them who we were, what we were about the seafood industry in Northern Ireland, how hard it's won, and to give them some history of the area. I mean, when we were digging out the floor in what was the old Bank Bar, next door to Kelly's Cellars, we came across piles of oyster shells, and in 1798, when the United Irishmen would have met next door in Kelly's, it was a country pub, so you can almost imagine the scene where they were eating oysters and throwing them out the door, and that's that's all the shells that we found, and it kind of bring, there was seafood there, and we're back with seafood. So it was great for us to be able to talk to people, chat to people, and get feedback from them, get the message out of the seafood, and get the message out about who we are and what we do. So when you talk about, results, well, what did it mean? Did it mean more bookings? What did it mean? We're in a great position where, unfortunately, we were busy most of the weekends when visitors came, they couldn't really get in. But for ourselves, it's a great chance to market the oyster bar and the new cookery school. And what's also important is we're part of the tourism industry, and Northern Ireland doesn't have that much going for it, but I think that's a tremendous future with tourism, and everybody in this room will in some way benefit from tourism, and we're all responsible for tourism, whether it be showing a stranger directions on the street. So it's important that we're all involved in the tourism project, and we were delighted to be part of that project. I mean, we don't have fantastic architecture, we don't have stunning archaeology like Rome has. But we have great people and we have great stories, and the Belfast Bread Tour was a great way of getting that out. We were delighted to be involved with it. You know, small businesses, the probably message is, you know, it's not art for art's sake. It's art to bring solutions to problems. And another benefit is you get to work with fantastically creative, talented people. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. And just to give you a little bit more detail on that, Paula McFetridge, who's the artistic director of Kibosh. And it's kind of good when people turn up at your restaurant, they can't get in.
Hi, I'm Paula. I'm artistic director of Kibosh. I'll just give you a wee bit of background about how Belfast Bread came about. I mean, Bob is one of 5 businesses that are actually involved in that show. Obviously, us as a theatre company are a business. Then outside of that, we had Morn Seafood, we had Sawyer's, we had the John Hewitt, we had Nick's Warehouse, and we had Botanic Inns. And the reason why the product came about was because we were approached by Belfast City Council Evening Economy back about 2.5 years ago. So happened I got into a conversation with Wendy Kane, and she said that one of the things they wanted to look at was the development of food tourism in the city and how we promoted the food and drink history of the city and how we linked tourism with a high-end cultural tourism product that could potentially travel and was versatile enough that elements out of it could travel nationally and internationally and potentially become a kind of a key tourism project that could be used for events and conferences elsewhere. And what happened was we went to Dublin, and Bob was with us, and there were about 10 of us, and we went on the 2 food tours that actually existed in Dublin. And out of that, I was asked, which I didn't know was going to happen at the time, could I pitch something? And I suppose there are certain logistical things and artistic things that, through my experience over the years, creating unique site-specific theatre projects, which is what I do. Kibosh is the only site-specific theatre company in the north, which means we perform in unusual locations. So logistics and artistic creativity, both of those kind of exist in my head at the same time, which is kind of a bit of an odd thing, but anyway, that's what happens. So what happened was then, I decided that one of the things that we needed to look at was we needed to create a character that would speak to both locals and to people that were coming, you know, tourists. So we obviously made the link of Titanic. We obviously then said as well that it's far enough away that we can invent something, but also people think they have ownership of Titanic and that period. And so we created this character, Barney. And as Bob rightly said, he was a chef, was on Titanic, ended up in an iceberg due to global warming. The iceberg melts, he floats ashore in Belfast, he's wearing his whites, he bumps into a counsellor, and the counsellor makes a bet with him. If you can recreate the meal you cooked on the Titanic, we'll let you cook the 2012 centenary dinner in the City Hall. That is the gist. I said it that morning in Dublin, they all looked at me like I was mad, and I said, I think we can make this work. And I said, but I'm going to commission a playwright. And the playwright went around and interviewed each of the locations. I obviously knew the show could only be 2.5 hours. If the show is 2.5 hours, really you can only take in about 5 or 6 locations. In order to give the proprietor in each location a chance to meet the audience and talk about their product and their business, the audience had to be in each location for approximately 10 minutes. So then I was able to take a map of the city centre, work out how far you could walk, right? And that's genuinely what I did. I then looked at complementary businesses. I then looked at personalities that ran businesses that would be able to engage with an audience and that were independent, artisan businesses that had a personality and had a uniqueness. And genuinely that's what happened. And so we started in Sawyer's. We go from Sawyer's to Morn Seafood, as I said, on to the John Hewitt to Nick's Warehouse to Botanic Inns. First year we did it last year. We did 34 programme shows over the summer. It ran every Friday and Saturday at 10:15 in the morning. Sold out like that. It was unbelievable. In addition to the sold out performances last year, then we would do approximately about one-off every fortnight. Okay? One-offs are ones that are booked by people who want to bring family members out in an event, whether it is corporate businesses stuff, whether it is Excursions Ireland. I mean, this year we did 3 different cruise ships. And so then last year we had, like I said, like we did 33 shows last year. We did a series of one-offs. We also took the show to Grand Central Station, New York. We took the show to the RDS in Dublin to promote the tourism strategy. We took it to London. We did extracts out of it in Stormont. We did extracts out of it in various hotels. It really was incredible. The local, national, international press was mind-blowing. We couldn't control it. Botanic Inns last year had the kitchen bar on it. This year McHugh's bar, another one of their establishments, was 300 years old. They asked us would it be possible to adapt the show and add in McHugh's. Okay? Now, as I said, commission the playwright. The audience listen to a play. Along the route, they get elements of tourism history of the city. They get historical elements of the city because the character they're with hasn't been in the city since 1912. So he can say anything. Okay? It's scripted. The audience go into each establishment, they get samples. All the samples are different, they get to eat, they meet the proprietor, and then they go on to the next place. The show is 2.5 hours long, you finish up at St George's Market. It's £20 a ticket, it includes all your samples. We were asked to then revive it this year, which we did. We just heard yesterday that Belfast Bread is one of the top 10 destinations for 2012 in National Geographic. Do you know what I mean? I mean, incredible. And in addition to that, we heard this week that we got £10,000 to create the Belfast Bread app. And again, it's incredible because what will happen with the app is it will enhance the experience of those that are attending. It means we can also add in other small businesses that are not within the catchment area of the city centre that is walkable. So we can include places that are elsewhere, completely outside Belfast. We can also add in recipes. We can also add in a zoom into the cookery school. We can also add in a trip to Hilton Brewery where you get the local beers that you taste in the John Hewett. We can also go to other Botanic Inn establishments. We can enhance that experience, but also because the audience each time is only 20 people before we can get into the locations, it means then you can multiply your audience. It has been a huge impact for the company. It's been unbelievable. I just wanted to briefly tell you this about audience numbers. What's very interesting about the cultural tourism product, and we now produce quite a bit of it to complement our other work, is that when you look at audiences, now as I say, completely sold out for the 2 years and we're working on it coming back for next summer. On our last year, 2010, 51% of our audience came from Belfast, 40% came from across the north, 6% were from the UK, and 3% were international. This year, 33% were from Belfast, 55% from around the north, 3% from the UK, and 9% international. It's really interesting when you look at local people taking ownership of a product like that. And one other thing to say is, yes, the impact for Kibosh has been massive, but when you take a small business like Sawyer's the delicatessen there at the back of Boots in Fountain Street, Kieran Sloan can actually tell you, yes, staff morale has been increased. Yes, the staff love hearing Kieran talking about the history of the establishment and seeing him talk about why he runs Sawyer's as an independent business and why it works. But the hard cold fact is that Kieran Sloan can tell you, based on vouchers that he gives the audience, that his turnover, each weekend the show is on, is increased by 10%, which is 2 part-time members of staff that he was able to keep over the summer. That's the facts of it. And each one of the businesses that have been involved can actually demonstrate very, very clearly the impact on them as businesses, as can we as a company as regards our audience. And it has been an incredible thing. We created a model that now can be, we can use for other projects. We're creating a drink tour of Belfast that has been commissioned by somebody else. We're also creating a new Belfast tour, uses the same format. And we are working with solicitors regards the intellectual property of the format. But the format itself can move. It can be used for various different things. We journey an audience around small locations, and you also then achieve goals for the businesses involved as well as the arts organisation. Hope that's given you a bit of an insight.
Thank you, Paula. And without doing the Titanic thing too much, that's actually the tip of the iceberg. Because there are lots of what the job that we have is a bit like yours. We have to reinvent the wheel every time, or almost every time. We have to come up with new formats, new ways of attracting audiences. In our business, if we do one bad show, we have a real setback there, or something that is perceived not to be as entertaining, or I didn't enjoy that as much. My mother's always said, why don't you just do a nice musical? So we have that difficulty all the time.
In reality, I think the perception is that we in business, in the professional field, have lots of money to throw around, but unfortunately that is not the case, and I have to justify to my partners any sponsorship deals that I promote internally, and thankfully they've been very supportive of me to date, and they recognise that this is something worth investing in. I just wanted to say thanks to Mary and the team for giving us the opportunity to sponsor again the second series of breakfast seminars, and it's given me an opportunity and my colleagues to see what's working in the local market in terms of businesses and arts and how we can be of mutual benefit to each other. So thank you very much, and I've enjoyed this morning. It's great to see so many familiar faces from both arts and business fields. Thanks very much.